Good evening. In our news bulletin for this evening, Niue's Fijian community prepares to run a cyclone appeal and relief for the worst affected communities in Fiji affected by Cyclone Winston. Shark sightings prompt the Niue Fisheries Division to issue warnings for the public. Telecom Niue goes through changes as part of government's restructure and now becomes part of the commercial and trading arm of government. The Chamber of Commerce president steps down to take on board a new role within the Chamber office. The Fijian community in Niue has started with their fundraising initiatives to send relief funds to support families devastated by the aftermath of Tropical Cyclone Winston. Last week, the local Niuean Fijian community had a meeting to discuss ways to help their home country after Tropical Cyclone Winston and have decided on a few ideas. We spoke to the secretary of the Fijian community group, Mrs. Rosa Varea, and she explains how Cyclone Winston has affected them as a community living away from the homeland and what they have planned to support their Fijian brothers and sisters.
Cyclone Winston, the devastation it caused Fiji had emotionally affected the Fijian community here in Niue. Because it was such a huge cyclone, it affected the whole of Fiji. So all our family members of the Fijian community in Niue have been affected in some way or the others. We have managed to get in contact with some of our families who are safe and their property are okay. And there are other families that they're safe but have major damages to their homes and property, and also there are other members that we haven't been able to get in touch with because the communication and the power in some islands, especially the remote islands, are not up yet. We have come up with some fundraising activities that we would like to carry out. These include donations appeal out to the public. We have set up a Kiwi bank account that we're asking people whatever amount they're willing to donate, they can donate into that account. We're also doing a fundraising bingo next week on Wednesday, 9th of March. The venue will be confirmed and will be announced on air on Monday next week. And we also have fundraising dance on Saturday the 12th at the Niue Golf Club from 8 p.m. And we also are looking at setting up coin collection tins. We're asking some of the businesses if we could set up these tins in their shops just for people to, when they do their shopping, if they have some spare change they would like to donate, they can put it in the coin collection coins.
Relief aid from all over the world has streamed in to help Fiji with their recovery efforts, and assessment teams also continue to estimate the amount of damage caused by Cyclone Winston. That is undoubtedly the worst cyclone to hit the southern hemisphere. In the past, Niue has been in similar situations, and the Pacific and the international community were quick to respond. Now the appeal is for Niueans to pledge their support for Fiji towards their recovery.
We would just like to humbly ask everyone of Niue if you're willing to donate whatever money that you can or help in any way with our fundraising activities that I have mentioned. We would really appreciate any monetary contribution or any help whatsoever that the public would like to give us. Anything would be much appreciated. It's just that it's been such a difficult time for us. Thinking of our families back home. And we just hope that we could come together and do this fundraising activity just to at least help in some way to the people of Fiji.
All donations organised by the Fijian community on island will be closed on the 24th of March, and government also has plans to rally support towards relief efforts with a radio appeal. that will be on Radio Sunshine on Friday morning. At this point in time, the most pressing needs of the country are for funds to assist the country to rebuild. Shark sightings close in or near our shores has prompted a warning from the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries for the people to be alert when they venture out fishing or collecting seafood. These deep-sea predators are in their natural habitat and have not caused any fatalities amongst our fishing or recreation community, although we have heard of close encounters and instances where they attacked or prey on catches of deep-sea fishermen on canoes or follow those spearfishing over the reef. The main concern is that the species of sharks seen around the reef at the moment are those usually seen in the deep sea, but what is bringing them closer to shore is something that the Director of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries is keen to find out from the Fisheries Division.
I just had a bit of experience on Saturday. I think the sharks are a part of our ecosystem. Quite used to seeing sharks, white-tip reef sharks around the reef when we're snorkeling or spearfishing, but guess we put out a notice, not to for people to panic, but I think it's only fair to make the general public aware of these sort of sightings in case they can take precautions in case somebody gets hurt. It's hasn't been heard of anyone being bitten by a shark here, but there's always a first time, of course. And this is a little bit of a peculiar sort of circumstance. So, I guess while out spearfishing off the wharf, I noticed a number of sharks. Typically the type of shark that you would see further out in the ocean.
Brendan says it's a rarity for such a large amount of sharks to congregate so rapidly, and it is something new to him as a long-time fisherman, either fishing off a dinghy or spear fishing. While sharks are known to have been around our fishing grounds for a long time, preying on fishermen's catches, and some juvenile ones swimming along the reef, the Department of Fisheries is in the process of doing some in-depth research about their behaviours and movements, including the time of the year they congregate and the reef or closer in our shores.
This early days, but we will start to look into the opportunities that we have to do a little bit more shark research. There are obviously institutions and organizations that can assist us in that regard, and we just need to, at this stage, to plan how best to do that. We'll start by collecting information and data from the fishermen and those that are using the sea, and just try and monitor.
There are no known shark attacks that have been reported in Niue, and sharks are still considered to be dangerous predators of the sea and should be kept well clear of. Telecom Niue is the next government department to be corporatised as part of government's commercial and trading arm. This latest change works in line with the gradual transformation of the public sector restructure that started in 2014. The new structure was designed for efficiency and to expedite the delivery of services within the public service. The previous structure contained a number of different departments, each with their own directors. But the restructure has developed 3 ministries that are led by Director Generals and an additional 2 agencies. One of those agencies, the Commercial Agency, was established to generate revenue for the government of Niue to assist with national developments.
The commercialization of telecom is also not new. This is something I recall that we were working on during my time in telecom, and we were at the time ready to go into a corporation, but at the time the decision by cabinet or the government of the day did not eventuate to becoming a corporation. But I believe that it's timely that the government needs to operate on a more commercial type arrangement for such an entity like Telecom Niue. At this point in time, no one will lose their jobs. That's the main thing. A corporatization of telecom does not mean to say that going to be new people coming in. Other than the Commission appointing an interim director to oversee the changes required to turning telecom into a commercial type operation, and that person needs and must have a commercial type expertise or have run such an entity in the past in order, totally under a commercial type operation to assist with the migrating or changing telecom into this entity that we are hoping that it will generate the revenue in order to support the national budget, etc.
The restructure is an ongoing process and discussions have already been held between the Niue Public Service Commission and the Director General to explain to staff within the Telecom Niue Department the changes that are taking place. In the interim, Telecom are working under an interim executive, but Cabinet has approved a board of directors for Telecom. There are also expected changes to management with the appointment of a Chief Executive Officer.
I believe the appointment or the contract is with the Commission. The person has been here several times in the past working with Telecom on the changes, and is not a new person to the island. That person will work with Telecom staff and the government in order to see how it will settle down. But all other operations will remain. The other change that we see is also the change of the post office that has now gone as part of the banking and commercial operation of the government. The person or the CEO for Telecom and other senior staff. But the staff we have here in Telecom, I believe, speaking with the Commission and the Director General and the Interim Director, they are well versed in taking Telecom forward. And just like to acknowledge with a lot of appreciation what has taken place and the work of Telecom up to now. These are challenging times for the government, and the government needs to be generating revenue and getting returns for its investment.
Mr. Hipper says that the transition is expected to take about 6 months before it becomes more apparent what will happen long term. The president of the Niue Chamber of Commerce, Catherine Itwata Papani, has stepped down from her position on the board of directors to take on a new role within the office as the Education and Communications Officer. According to a press release from the Niue Chamber of Commerce, Catherine brings with her a wealth of experience and knowledge of Niue's private sector, having been on the chamber board since her return in 2005. Mrs. Papani says she is happy that in this capacity she will have a more hands-on role while continuing to work in an area that she is passionate about. With these changes, the current Vice President, Michael Jackson, now assumes the role of President in the interim, as the annual general meeting for elections is set for August of this year. Niue Chamber of Commerce has also welcomed the appointment of a new business development manager who will be joining the team in April. And that concludes our news bulletin for this evening. We do hope you can join us again for our next news bulletin on Thursday.